but the stuff that was rotted, I wanted to replace. I originally bought a small portion of Hardy. It's actually Allura.
Oh, so
Put
you
on,
have an
but then I
updated
started to realize
for us. Okay.
when you
That's
buy
okay.
Hardy, this is
Well,
the
that
piece,
will be
and this is
good.
the piece, and they're just.
No, I
they're
texted
little bottom
everyone
to
and
top,
said,
and
bring
you
your
just
list.
overlap.
Yeah.
So you didn't have
A
to
wooden
make
platform
copies.
is 3/4 tapered with nothing. So what happens is when you put the Hardy on the house, and then you have a
These
section
things
over
in,
here that's
here.
cedar,
see it.
you're gonna see the shadow line
Yeah.
on the
Okay.
bottom edge.
Gotcha.
But if you were doing the whole
On
house,
the back.
My brother has it all in
Noted that
fiber cement.
in progress and funded.
I like to see
Just
those.
forget these.
no, I like it too, I just, you know.
Right,
Look at
13.
that.
Do you need
Pretty
any
much
of that
look
for
at the
like a small,
unfunded.
like,
See there, that's
shed
funded.
or- I'll tell you what that's about.
So that was,
All right.
and I will
Pretty
wait.
damn good
I
shape.
was, because this said,
I
assuming the grant is received in
Yeah,
full.
I know.
Yeah, and,
Handgun.
we already know the
Yeah.
dollar amounts.
Great, pretty nice one.
So
What did you drive to the meeting?
You're feeling it,
Porsche.
okay.
Oh, Porsche.
Yeah,
Wait, I didn't know you had a Porsche.
yeah, well, I got it now, but my
You ready?
cars are
Ready.
in pieces in the shop.
You didn't have a Porsche before.
No, it's
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the May 6th,
SUV.
2025 Borough Council meeting. If you could rise for the pledge and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Grace?
Here? Here.
Mr. Readinger,
Here.
Ms. Reed,
Here.
Ms. Lillenbecker,
Here,
Ms. Miller.
Here. I'd like to report on our last executive sessions held April 15th and April 24th. They were both regarding matters of litigation. No action was taken. Now is the time for public comment on agenda items. Does anyone have anything? Seeing none, agenda item number 1.
Do I have a motion to approve council meeting minutes for the April 15th, 2025 meeting as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 2.
Do I have a motion to approve payment of bills as shown on the accounts payable list dated May 1st, 2025, which is for the period of April 10th through April 30th, 2025, and to ratify approval of such bills already paid and to authorize the appropriate officials to take the required actions to make those payments?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Angie?
I just have a question for the holiday banners. Are these for the ones for the winter ones?
That's correct, right, Ken?
What page are we on?
They were the small banners.
Oh, the small banners, yeah. Big ones.
Any other questions?
Didn't we already pay for them?
No, the
There's-
small banners were lagging behind the big ones.
Okay.
They're the ones that are gonna go up here by the, new train station, because the train station people put, shorter banner arms in than
Okay.
what we have in town.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 3.
Do I have a motion to approve payment number 8 to Hayden Power Group, invoice 08241, in the amount of $138,940.65, as recommended by Ashblund Engineering Services for construction work completed on the Spruce Street substation?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 4.
Okay, item number 4, what we're gonna do before we read the motion is, in your packet, you see there's a retainer agreement that we have from HRG. That'll be the first motion. But then we'll get into, the pictures up on the screen, and, our engineer Josh Fox is here today. What this retainer agreement for is for the submission to prepare, an application for the DCED Greenways grant. This is a grant for trails. It is due the end of this month, and this was one that we kind of threw out here at, I think, our last meeting when Ms. Yike from DCNR was here, said, hey, there's a Greenway Trails grant that could be used to help fund the project that we've already submitted a grant to DCNR for, the Phase 1 of the South Union Street Park, which is the nature play area that we talked about. With this, we're bringing to council this grant that's available through DCED that could fund the remainder of the trail system, even in Phase 1 and Phase 2 of that bigger park down there. The maximum grant you can get is $250,000. There's a 15% match. Grace, if you can put up the trail, that middle slide there where people can see and council can see it easier. Here's the trail we're talking about going for the grant for. As you can see to the very right, the nature play area, which is Phase 1, we applied for a grant through DCNR for that. But we had to cut out the trail to get the dollar value down for what we had to match the DCNR project. So we took out that outer perimeter trail in the DCNR grant. So that leaves it, when that project's done, it would be unconstructed. So what we're trying to do is go for a grant from DCED, from the Greenways Trail, to get that part of it done, plus the part of the trail that's in Phase 2. And we're even looking to possibly go beyond onto the historical site property to make it more walkable and longer and more enjoyable to the public. And then also get more exposure to our historic structures there. Because as you recall, eventually we wanted to, we're talking about maybe putting some historic signboards out there. This area where this park is basically real close to the former canal basin in Middletown, and it's where the Pennsylvania and Union Canals connected. So we just thought with nature play kind of fits into that area, and historic, you know, the old fort where supplies came in, that we can have a really nice theme around that trail there. Josh, am I missing anything?
No, I think you nailed it there. There's a small portion there, if you look on the right side, where the trail leaves the parking lot on the lower right. So there's a little bit of overlap there between what was in the DCNR grant and this grant. And the purpose of that is just so that this grant it essentially creates an entire project. So if that phase, for the purposes of this grant application, if Phase 1 wouldn't happen for some reason, this project in and of itself is still a full project. So obviously the intent is for everything to move forward, and obviously this would just be for the portions of the trail. But yeah, I think we create, this project creates almost, give or take, like almost a half-mile loop trail, when you add it all up there. So it's a nice little loop. Like Ken said, the grant, you can go up to $250. I had pulled together just some conceptual costs that I pulled together there, showing just an example of some items there, some ancillary benches, a stormwater management facility. So it doesn't quite take up the full grant amount, but there's not a whole lot of things to really add there to still stay in the budget. So it's pretty much a trail. I think I had in some benches, like the dog waste station you could throw in there, a couple of smaller items. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question about
Yep.
the dog waste station.
Yep.
Is it because there's a couple spots where you can enter in on the trail?
Yep.
Could you add dog waste
Oh,
station.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we had just planned on one at the main park, but yeah, I mean, you could certainly sprinkle those throughout. They're not a real high dollar item.
Right.
In the larger scheme of things, with this trail here, you can see in the upper left-hand corner, it says 2 Ann Street.
Right.
That gets us back out on the sidewalk. The hope is for someday to have a larger trail system in town, where people can go from this trail to Union Street to Mill Street and eventually link up with Hopper Park.
Mm-hmm.
And then south of here, eventually, well, as you recall, we put in for an LSA grant for a trail on Susquehanna Street. That'll get us to the boat landing. So the missing piece of the puzzle here, if this all comes to fruition, we could link Susquehanna Street up with South Union here if we are able to connect the 2 points between here and the boat landing and have a larger trail system that may be, instead of half a mile of trail, maybe a mile and a half of
Yeah.
trail.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, you just mentioned something about stormwater. What are you budgeting for stormwater on this project?
For this grant, I had put aside about 15,000. I mean, we're really just looking for a project like this. We're looking at some swales, some small rain gardens, nothing really too in depth for something like this.
Really? We got 50 grand in a residential. Interesting.
So we propose this tonight, and we have a motion prepared, but I want to leave it open for council to discuss and ask any other questions, whether or not you want to move forward with this, because like I said, there's a 15% match. That would work out to, with engineering and everything, probably about $45,000 would be our fee, our cost to match the grant if we get the full 250 from the state. There's enough time that, as you can see, I think it might be in, no, it's not in, it might be in the right up here, but we either budget for it for next year, the match, or looked at cash reserves. But if you vote for this application tonight, we have to be prepared to vote for funding our match, either through the 2026 budget or some cash reserves that we have or come into. Questions? Ideas? Yeses or nos? And what, should I read the motion and we'll just go from there? Everybody ready for that? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the retainer agreement with HRG in an amount of $4,900 for submission of the South Union Street Park Improvement Grant application to DCED Greenways Trails and Recreation Program, and approve the funding of the 15% match, which would equal approximately $45,000 by way of the 2026 budget or cash reserves?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-1420, amending Chapter 195, Section 195-4, to authorize council to approve different specific locations at Oak Hills Park for the placement of temporary sponsorship signs by Middletown Amateur Baseball Association or its successor?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6.
Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-9, appointing the Director of Finance and Administration as the liaison between Middletown Borough and Berkheimer, the appointed tax collector, for the purpose of sharing confidential tax information with the district for official purposes.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 7.
Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-10, establishing Credit Tech as the collector of fees and charges for services in the Middletown Borough?
So
moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 8.
Do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-11, appointing Jennifer D. Miller as the voting delegate for the purpose of electing officers of the association and voting on proposed resolutions and policies at the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs 2025 conference?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Grace, I abstain. Motion passes. Item number 9.
Do I have a motion to approve the side letter agreement to resolve a current dispute over holiday benefits, which is a non-binding on future contract negotiations with the Middletown Police Officers Association Union?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now is the time for general public comment.
Kind of missed this at the beginning of the meeting. Number 6, Berkheimer. What's a tax liaison?
Right.
Tax liaison?
Yeah, that's really Sally would, or Sydney, so somebody's gonna be from our, financial department interacting with that, collection company that's now collecting the taxes, and that's really just designating, here's the person they talk to.
We used to have a, we used to have a tax
I-
collector, and now Berkheimer is our tax collector. So somebody from the borough
Oh.
has to communicate with them if things aren't
Oh, so we
adding up as
Oh.
terms of like exonerations, things like that.
do have a tax collector now.
Yeah, a company is doing it
Yeah,
this year.
and that was at a previous meeting, this is really a housekeeping item. Who are they allowed to talk to and take?
Yeah, that threw me a curve.
Ugh.
Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, we will be going to executive session. We will not be coming back, and I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
18 minutes. Holy hand.
Oh,
So it's,
I did-
he got a back part, you know, SUV
Very
with a
efficient.
face in the back.
No, I didn't know that was. I don't.
Yeah, so it's.
Oh, that's funny.
All each other.